Today we're finally doing it, friends. It's the most requested video on this whole channel. But first, Myrtle needs a little bit of a buff and polish. So now she's all spick and span, let's give you the full tour. So first up, Myrtle the camper van is a Volkswagen T4. She's from 1995, 1.9 diesel, no turbo. And it's that no turbo that means that I must apologise if you've ever had the misfortune to be stuck behind us going up a hill. So she cost £1,000. Most people thought I was insane when I drove her home. The bodywork was shot. She was in very, very poor condition. Certainly around the wheel arches she'd rotted out. Her sliding door had all rotted out along the bottom. She has very high mileage. She's currently on 257,635 miles. When I bought her, I intended to invest in her and to keep her on the road for as long as possible. So at some point the engine will go, and at that point I will put a new engine in. That's always been the plan. Yes, I am emotionally attached to this vehicle, but why wouldn't I be? She's gorgeous. And everything's replaceable, right? Now, I do have all the photos of the 6 weeks that she was in being restored. If you would like to see a kind of video montage of all those photos put together, then please let me know in the comments below. They're on a hard drive somewhere. It would take me some effort to find them, but if anyone is interested, I would certainly put that video together. And I kind of always had the intention of doing it. It's just time, and my editing skills back then were crap, even worse than they are now. So it's just something I've never got round to. But if one of you says, please give us the restoration video, then I will put that at the top of the list and get that done for you ASAP. If you don't want to sit through this entire video, I hear you, it's going to be a long one, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the timestamps for each different kind of area of the van down in the description box below. So if you just want to scoot forward and find out about my kitchen or find out how my bed works or whatever, just scoot down below and I'll put all the timestamps down there. And if you don't know, my name is Jane Sarche and I normally use this camper van for making you guys easy one-pot camping recipes. If that sounds like your cup of tea, then feel free to subscribe to the channel, and if you ding the little bell, you'll be notified each Wednesday when I upload my latest video. So this is her cab. There's really nothing much to tell you about in here. It's all pretty standard. We have put some USB sockets in. I think I got these off eBay. There's a little switch there that turns them on. So obviously when you're on a road trip, that's really, really handy to be able to charge 4 different things at once. The seats are original, they're revolting, they're really tatty, they're ripped. They're okay comfortable wise to sit on, but when you press your hand on the seat, like there's a metal thing right there. So it's kind of best not to touch them with your hands really, but when you're actually sat on your bum on them, they're really quite comfy, so that's no problem. The passenger seat is minging, and that's why it's got this blanket over it. Something at some point has been spilt on this seat. I presume it was car oil or something. I've cleaned it and cleaned it and cleaned it. It comes up really nice and clean, and then 24 hours later, the moisture presumably in the cleaner that I've used pushes back up this disgusting stain. So we just keep a blanket over there and we pretend that's not a problem. I have these 2 cup holders that I made. If anyone fancies me making a little tutorial about how to make these, then let me know. That'd be a fun little video. Okay, now let's talk about the fun stuff. So now we're in the back of the van. This is where all the magic happened. This was just an empty shell when I bought her. It came with a half bulkhead, which actually turned out to be incredibly useful, so we didn't have to cut any metal out or anything. And it allowed us to build the kitchen onto the bulkhead at the back of the seats really, really easily. So I designed everything in here down to the millimetre. I was incredibly OCD about it. I love designing things like that. I don't think there's anything in the design or layout of Myrtle that I would change. I'm really perfectly happy with it. Because I knew that I was going to be spending a lot of time in here cooking, that's why I didn't go for carpeting on the walls. My cushions are all covered in a vinyl rather than a fabric. This is still the original ceiling that we've got going on here. It's gross, it needs a coat of paint. The reason that we haven't actually gone and sorted that out yet is we're still not actually sure what we're going to do with up here. A couple of options we've got. We can leave it as it is and just live with the van as it is, which works perfectly for us. However, we know that it would be lovely to be able to stand up in here. So do we want to pay the money and have a pop top added on? Another option is that we put a roof box tent up there, which would mean that we could keep this layout as lounge, and we can keep a bit more clutter laid out because we haven't then got to move everything around to try and make the bed up. But those are all things that aren't essential, and I really struggle with spending lots and lots of money on things that aren't essential, so I don't know, we'll see. Another part of the brief was that I didn't want a rock and roll bed because it would mean that of an evening we'd both be sat side by side on an upright seat. I wanted a real loungy, relaxing kind of put your feet up, read a book, snuggle up under a blanket. Just, I wanted a really relaxed vibe in the back of the van. So rock and roll bed was out. Also, I didn't want a 3/4 width bed because neither Johnny or I are particularly skinny, and the thought of being sardined up next to someone at a festival when it's hot, I would just get really cranky with that. And also because there's only the two of us, we didn't need seating back here that had seat belts on. So we're kind of lucky from that point of view, I guess, that we could literally just do whatever we wanted with this. Another thing that was important to me on this brief was that there was always a single bed available, so that if I'm on a long journey and I'm on my own and I have to pull over and just get some sleep, then literally I can just crawl back here and go to sleep. If there's two of us, it does take about 5 or 6 minutes to make the bed up, which is no time at all, really, in the big picture. It's much quicker than putting a tent up and a lot less hassle than putting a tent up. Another thing that was really important to me was storage. When you're in a tight space like this, you can't have clutter everywhere. It actually makes me feel quite anxious when I'm just surrounded by stuff and you've got to move 63 things just to get to the bin or just to put the kettle. Like, I can't be doing with that. It stresses me right out. So another great reason for us to have a U-shaped seating is that underneath each of these seats is masses of storage. We spent a month going round North Scotland in 2017 and we were fine. We had a tiny little cubby each for our clothes. It was definitely doable. Now, I guess it's no great surprise that the kitchen for me was the most important part of the whole build. Because I wanted to make cooking YouTube videos in here, the layout was incredibly important. It had to be a usable workspace. So with the floor layout available to us, this was the maximum size kitchen unit that we could have. And I think it makes a superb use of this space. It tucks right into the corners and it's got everything we need. It's brilliant. And like I said, a month around Scotland, it was superb. There was plenty of storage for food, for all our kitchen essentials. It's a very usable space. I'm really happy with it. So one of my favourite things about this whole kitchen, and I know it sounds daft, but it's the bin. And our bin is that easy. While we're in this cupboard, everybody asks where our toilet is. This, my friends, is our toilet. Clearly, it's only for number ones. I guess in an emergency, you could use it for number twos. I've never had to, and I pray to God that I never will. But it's really, really easy to use, male or female. It's kind of ergonomically designed for either. Okay, next up, this is our food and kind of crockery cupboard, if you like. So obviously the gas stove is above, the pipe comes down the back of the cupboard right down to the bottom, and our gas bottle is in there. There's our very battered old kettle. So we keep all our food in these noisy plastic bags. I used to have metal baskets in this cupboard, but they just became so damn annoying. Every time you wanted to get something out, it was such a stressful thing. And it kept knocking the gas bottle and I was just a little bit concerned. These are much, much better, although they're really noisy. Like, you can kind of squish it in the cupboard, it fills up all those little nooks and crannies. And you know, this stuff, this stays in here forever. I also have this bag of goodies. I'm actually thinking I might do you a proper kitchen tour where we go through all the food that I keep in here. Can you let me know in the comments if that's something that you would like to see? I'm not sure if it's just me that's obsessed by this kind of stuff. In here is a load of dehydrated food. So I've got my own dehydrator, and in here I've got dehydrated meat, vegetables, lots of things. So again, this with what's in here, not only can I feed people, I can actually feed people pretty nutritious food. Then up top, this is where we keep all the cutlery and crockery. So it's just a wicker basket, which is getting a little bit tatty now from being dragged in and out all the time. In the top, we've got this retro cutlery tray that was in my little vintage caravan that I pinched out, and it just slots in the top really nicely. Then inside this basket are all our crockery and things. In behind there, in the back of the cupboard, this is where I keep my cookware. So this is a non-stick pan pan with a lid, and then underneath here is the saute pan that you've seen me use a million times, and then those two just slot into the back of the cupboard. So can this be a pain when you want to get something out that's in the back of the cupboard and this, that and the other? Well, yeah, of course, but to be honest, if things like that wind you up, then you probably don't want to be living in a camper van anytime soon. So next up we have our water cupboard, which is here. When I'm not actually off on a road trip, I keep a couple of these bottles, mostly because Myrtle leaks coolant so badly, so I'm always having to top her coolant up. So I tend to keep 3 or 4 litres of water in here. Now, when we're on a road trip, this cupboard has actually been designed specifically for this water carrier. This holds, I think it's 25 litres. If you've watched any of my videos here on YouTube, then you will have seen this little area many times. This is my kind of kitchen shelving. Up here I've got my little spices and herbs. I store them in these cute little Tic Tac tubs. They are absolutely fantastic. Highly recommend it. They stay dry and airtight. They stack really easily. They take up 0 room. And all I've done is add a little bit of washi tape to the side and write on with a Sharpie pen what is in there. They slot up there. They take up 0 room. And brilliant. Highly, highly recommend that if you're struggling to work out where to put your spices. Insect repellent, incense holder, Bovril, because nothing will warm you up on a cold day like a big hot mug of Bovril. I love this stuff. Pepper grinder, Cornish sea salt, my flask for when I'm hiking. There's a couple of little measuring jugs, and this one I also like to put flowers in when I'm parked up for a few days. I think having a little vase of flowers is completely ridiculous and lovely all at the same time. Kitchen roll gets used for everything. I am still looking for a kitchen roll company to sponsor my videos because I get through this stuff by the mile. I use it to clean the kitchen, to clean food, to mop up spills. For nighttime peas, it makes really good toilet paper. I've used it to light fires before. Now I've completely run out of other ideas. I'm sure there's a million more. But again, this shelf was designed size-wise to fit in a roll of kitchen roll because I just use it all the time. These are all my cute little tubs that you would have seen on my Eden pasty video. These are working really well. I love them. I love how much tidier this shelf looks. I really, really appreciate this. At the back here, we've got some Collins Gem books. So I've got an old vintage World Atlas book here. There's Collins Gem Food for Free, Seashore Mushrooms, First Aid card games. There's a packet of Uno. I love this game. I actually forgot that was in here. I need to play that game. Some wet wipes and face wipes. In here I have coffee bags. These are all individually wrapped. It's like a giant tea bag. If you haven't seen them before, you just rip the packet open, chuck the bag in your mug, top up with hot water, and you've got a coffee. Not as nice as using an AeroPress in my personal opinion, but if I'm decaffeinated, it does the job, trust me. I really like them. I also keep a couple of these in my hiking pack now, so that when I go out, I just take a flask of hot water and I can make a brew on the go, so I don't taint the flask with coffee, because if you then go and use it for something else, it doesn't taste great. I've got sugar in here for Johnny for his porridge and for his mug of tea in the morning. There's a sweet little candle. If I cook anything in here that's a bit smelly, this is vanilla flavour, and it's delicious. It smells so lovely, but it is quite overpowering after a while, so that's why it doesn't actually get used very often. Couple of mugs. What's that? Oh, this is cool. I'll leave a link to this below. Really useful. If it's hot and you want to boil a kettle or make something to eat and it's windy, as you've probably found out already in your vans, when your side door is open and the flame is on, it can blow the flame out, or at least batter the flame around and make it more inefficient. So this is just to go there and act as a wind block. How cool is that? And it's really dinky and it takes up 0 room. I haven't actually had reason to use it yet, but I'm excited that it's going to make this summer's camping even more perfect. Cooking oil, I tend to use coconut oil or ghee. I find that coconut oil lasts in here a little bit better. I prefer to keep ghee at home where the temperature is a little more constant. Sorry, we had a quick battery drama then, so we're on a new battery. We were up to the AeroPress. If you've never heard of an AeroPress before, then I'm going to leave a link up here and down in the description box below for a review that I've done on AeroPress. We rate these things incredibly highly. If you are a bit of a coffee snob, in my opinion, this is probably your best off-grid way of making yourself a brew. It's fantastic. Go see the review that I've already done. I'll also leave a link to AeroPress below in the description box if you want to go and check them out. Really, really, really rate this product. We love it. In fact, we've got 3 of these. We've got one that lives in here, we've got one that lives in Johnny's car, and we've got one in our kitchen at home. And it's the way that we make coffee 99.9% of the time. It makes the best cup of coffee. And finally, round here, I have my little remote control, which has just got a bit of Velcro on the back and lives on another bit of Velcro here. And over here is a little battery pack for my fairy lights that go all around my shelves and all around the van. Unfortunately, this one appears to need a battery changing. I didn't realise it had run out, which is a bit of a shame. When you're camping, this is actually enough light to see by, even though these are the tiniest little lights ever. They're amazing. It's actually quite a lot of light. You wouldn't want to read a book by them, but we do have 2 factory fitted lights in the back of the van here in the ceiling. So if we needed to read or look at a map, then we could absolutely use those. They do run off the car battery though, so I wouldn't keep them on all night. And actually they're not very nice light. These are much kinder on the eyes. I also have a little hanging hook up here. Whenever I'm sat in the back, the keys are always on that hook. This avoids any chance of me losing them. And if ever there is a reason that I have to get out of where I am really, really quickly, I don't have to think about where the keys are. I can just get out of here, get in the front and get driving. Just above the key hook on this little bit of metal, you'll see a lighter that my darling friend bought me, and I've just glued half a broken magnet on the back and it just lives up there. And it's just really handy. You always know where there's a lighter, because, you know, be prepared. Okay, quick change of scenery. I'm back home on the farm because I realised I needed my tripod to film the next bit, and this is the exciting bit. This is where this camper van turns into the yummiest, squishiest, comfiest nest. I freaking love the bed in this camper van. It's quite windy outside, so I think that's going to give us really bad audio, so I'm probably going to do a voiceover on this bit. So I'll stick the camera at the back, I'll just get on and make the bed, and I'll blah 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 over the top of it all. That's what I normally do anyway. Blah blah blah. Okay, so first off, we keep one board behind the driver's seats, so we just need to pull the passenger seat forward to be able to get that board out. And then we've got these 4 metal pins that Johnny made, and these are what kind of clamp that board into place. So I just take them out first, and you'll see why in just a sec. Then this is our bedding cupboard, and this is where we keep the 4 legs needed to make the bed. So the tabletop comes off, and the table leg comes out. Now, if we're just doing a quick one night stop, then this will go just on the floor here. But if we're going to be driving anywhere with a bed made up, then this fits perfectly underneath the passenger seat, which is really handy because it means it doesn't rattle around back here so much. Then the table slots in there. And then our 4 dowling rods that Johnny's made, he's put a pin in each end. This is an old nail and he's just glued it in place there. One end is slightly longer than the other. The long end goes into the floor, and you probably won't be able to see it, this floor is filthy, but there are 4 holes in the floor that those just slot into. Ta-da! Okay, back over onto audio now. Okay, this is the boot, so underneath that back section of sofa is where I keep all this kind of stuff. The barbecue, the camping chairs, more coolant, more engine oil, the slow cooker. I've got my bob here, which is a bug out bag, which is full of clothes and essentials if I just needed to leave the vehicle at any point and kind of walk home. This is my lovely griddle pan that the mice have got in and eaten the bag to get to the fat that I left over winter in there, unfortunately. I've got a little jerry can of diesel, and then over here we've got a picnic mat. This bag is my toolbox, I'm embarrassed to say. Spare bulbs, duct tape, a few tools, and obviously a warning triangle. In this old pillowcase I've got my electric hookup lead and some jump leads. Phew! So, there we go. Have I answered all your questions? I don't know. One of the things I realised that I'd left out as I was editing was the woodwork is all from pallets. The work surface in the kitchen is actually an old mahogany desk. The whole build was done on a real tight budget. Again, I have got all those receipts somewhere. If you're really interested to know how much this build cost, I will do my best to try and find that out for you. Now, very quickly before I sign off, something very interesting happened in our world yesterday. Johnny bought himself a T4. This is a picture of his T4. She is a little bit of a non-runner. I don't think she's moved in 2 years. He's going to take photos throughout all the work that he does, so I might well throw in a little video if you guys are interested about the progress every now and then of how he's getting on with her. I'm quite terrified for him, and equally I'm really excited for him that he can see past the fact that most other people would just scrap her, and he can see his dream van. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I know it's been a long video. Well done for making it to the end. If you're not subscribed to my channel and you're always off camping and you're always looking for yummy meals to make on your journeys, then please do consider subscribing to the channel, as we are all about making easy one-pot camping recipes. So I need to go and have a little lie down in a dark room now because editing this video has been horrendous, and I'm going to catch up with you all next Wednesday, hopefully with a recipe, because that's way easier. Have a fabulous week and an awesome weekend, whatever you're up to, lovely people, and until next week, happy camping.